What's going on YouTube? This is your boy Young Mustard coming at you guys once again, and I'm back with another video. Now, for those who don't know, everyone should know, the Golden State Warriors won the championship this year. Now, this offseason has been hella crazy. Players like Gordon Hayward leaving Utah to go to Boston. All these trades that have gone down, like Jimmy Butler being traded to the Timberwolves. That's probably the biggest one of the offseason, if not maybe Gordon Hayward signing, which some people expected, some people didn't expect, but we all know it. But you guys came here for the title. Now, the title of this video is if NBA players should be loyal. Now, let's start off with LeBron James. Obviously, he's probably the guy who started this debate. LeBron James played for 7 years in Cleveland, and he didn't get anywhere. He got to the finals and he got swept, yes, but he wasn't going anywhere with that team. That team wasn't going to add no pieces. Dan Gilbert was offered a trade for J.J. Hickson and Amari Stoudemire, and he turned it down. All this and that. LeBron James saw all of that and said, for my legacy, do I want to stay in Cleveland and keep losing but put up these nice numbers on this team that's never going to go anywhere? Or do I want to go join a Miami Heat team, add Chris Bosh, stay with Dwayne Wade, have Pat Riley as the executive, one of the greatest coaches ever, and then also have Eric Spoelstra as my coach, and also win championships? Now, we also have to include the fact that LeBron James throughout his whole life, forget his career, throughout his whole life has been compared to one guy, and that guy was Michael Jordan. He came in the league with the number 23, which he put on himself, but he came in the league with that number. Everyone was calling him the chosen one. All these magazines, these commercials, all this and that. He had the tattoo. He even got tatted up, all this and that, the chosen one tattoo, all these expectations placed on him. He was called the king, and he didn't have a ring. So he had to think to himself, for my legacy, do I want to stay in Cleveland and be loyal to my hometown, or go get chipped up in Miami? And he decided to go get chipped up, and that was probably the greatest move of his career. He took matters into his own hands. Now, should players be loyal? That pretty much should answer my opinion on it. No, players should not be loyal because these franchises aren't loyal to them. Let's look at Dirk Nowitzki, right? Dirk Nowitzki, he has taken pay cuts throughout his whole career. I think I saw something that said he took over $100 million in pay cuts, something around that amount. I could be wrong or not, correct me in the comment section. But he's taken all these pay cuts, and he just got a 2-year, $10 million deal. Meanwhile, the Mavericks just signed Harrison Barnes last year to that large-ass max contract. Harrison Barnes in 1 year is going to be making more than what Dirk's making over in the past 2 years. In the next 2 years. So think about that. This organization ain't really that loyal to Dirk, and he's taking pay cut after pay cut after pay cut. Now, you can say, oh, well, Dirk got a championship, so his legacy isn't really that tarnished anyway. Well, yeah, you could say that, but let's look at Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade is probably the greatest Miami Heat player ever. Scratch that, there is no probably. He is. He's played his whole career, besides last year, in Miami. But when it came to push come to shove, after all the pay cuts he'd taken, he wasn't like Dirk. He wanted that check because remember, he put aside some money so they could get Kevin Durant. But guess what? They still threw that max to Hassan Whiteside. That didn't stop them from doing that. Not saying that was a bad move or anything, but they still threw that max to him. And Dwayne Wade sat there and thought to himself, do I want to stay in Miami for less money? Because Pat Riley told him, hey man, we're not paying you all the money that you want because your talent isn't going to be worth that money. And Dwayne Wade said, you know what, screw y'all. I've taken pay cut after pay cut after pay cut. I wanted to be a Heat for life because I guarantee you after all those championships and the finals MVP where he went Jordan-esque in 2006, in his 3rd year in the league, I might add. But after doing all that, he said, you know what, screw it. I am going to go to a team that is going to pay me the money that I want. And he went to Chicago, where Chicago's going to have to pay him over $20 million because damn, Dwayne Wade, you wouldn't opt out. You just wouldn't opt out, would you? I don't blame you, but damn. But you guys get the point. That team was not loyal to him. That organization did not find any loyalty to Dwayne Wade. And Dwayne Wade had probably brought them the most prestige of all time. Let's look at Carmelo Anthony. Remember when he was a free agent in 2012, 2013, around that time? I'm not 100% sure. Y'all correct me in the comment section if I am wrong. But remember when he was a free agent and, he had all these offers stars. Primarily, the biggest one was the Chicago Bulls, and he had the chance to either go join with the Bulls, Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, also you had Luol Deng and Tom Thibodeau as the coach, all these supporting pieces. And remember, the Bulls had just lost to the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals, I believe, right? And all this could have happened. Carmelo Anthony could have joined the Bulls and could have made them serious contenders in the East. Remember, Carmelo Anthony at this point in time, he was leading the league in scoring, all that. He could have decided to go join them and actually have a chance to make the finals. Because remember, all he had was a Western Conference Finals appearance, and that was it. But he decided to sign a large-ass extension with the New York Knicks, and now look at where he is. Now he's an old, washed player who's just an ISO scorer, and if you put him on a championship team, he'll give you, 19 to 16 points. He's giving you 22 points on a bad team right now, and he's not doing it that efficiently. So if you put him on a championship team, at best he'll give you 20. But all this could have been avoided had he taken matters into his own hands and decided to not be loyal. But when you look at nowadays, he's called selfish, but he did what everyone wanted him to do. He decided to be loyal, but no one cared. No one cares now. People now want him to waive that no trade clause and trade him away. All this drama with Phil Jackson probably could have been avoided had he decided to go get chipped up and not been quote unquote loyal to his home state of New York. But let's look at Kobe Bryant, right? Because I know some people are going to say, what about Kobe? What about Kobe? He was loyal, and look how things turned out for him. But guys, we must remember, Kobe Bryant played in the biggest market in basketball. Scratch that, in sports. Los Angeles, Showtime, all this and that that's happened in Los Angeles. All the prestige, all the banners. Wilt, Magic, Jerry West, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy, all these legends and Hall of Famers that have played in Los Angeles, all the prestige. The front office is amazing. Pau Gasol will probably get his number retired, or I'm just throwing him out there because, besides Kobe and Magic and all those guys, Pau Gasol was and is going to be a Hall of Famer, and he made his Hall of Fame status known in LA. So maybe he'll get his jersey or his banner hang up one day in LA. So you get all the points that I'm making here. The Lakers are a prestigious organization, and they have a competent front office that can get these free agents, or should I say their city can grab all these free agents. Look at Paul George. Why would Paul George want to go to LA when LA is years ahead from being championship contenders, and Paul George is in the midst of his prime? He's a shooting guard in the midst of his prime on the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference that is weak as hell. He could have stayed there and signed an extension to, get his numbers up, all this and that, but he wanted to go to LA. You want to know why? Because LA is competent. They have a competent front office. They have all this marquee attention to it because it is the big city. LA is a big city. Kobe Bryant never had to worry about his GM getting him talent. Yes, he did suffer a few years with Kwame and Smush, but guess what? Those years came to an end eventually, and he ended up getting Pau in a trade for Kwame and all this and that. He got all these pieces like Artest and Fisher and Odom. He got a lot of pieces with him, and it eventually worked out for him. He won back-to-back championships and obliterated the Magic and got his revenge on the Celtics. So you guys get the point. Kobe Bryant never had to worry about what is the front office going to do next. LeBron James, his general manager, wouldn't trade J.J. Hickson for Amari Stoudemire, for Christ's sake. LeBron had to look at his legacy and say, do I want to get chipped up, or do I want to stay on this garbage, horrible front office organization that can't attract any free agents? Also, let's look at Kevin Durant for the final example. Kevin Durant just left OKC to go to Golden State. He could have stayed loyal and stayed in OKC, signed a huge contract, put up those numbers, and maybe one day he could have beat the Golden State Warriors. Just one day he could beat them. But guess what? He decided to take matters into his own hands, and probably that was the best decision of his career, because now he is a champion. No one can deny it. He deserved that championship because he was the finals MVP and his team won. He put up ridiculous efficiency numbers, numbers that I have never seen and no one in history will probably ever see. And then he decided to get a championship in Golden State. But if he had stayed in OKC, do you think they would have won a championship? Now, probably they could have. Who knows? One day they could have won a championship. But look in Golden State. If they had the space to sign Kevin Durant, don't you think they probably would have got another free agent that Wouldn't have been as good as KD. Don't get me wrong, the free agent probably wouldn't have been as good as Kevin Durant, but they probably would have got a free agent that was, just as good as Oladipo, because, OKC did add Oladipo to say, hey, we added this piece can probably put us over the top and beat Golden State. But Golden State probably would have added another piece to their team that would have put them over OKC. So you guys get the point here. Down the line, when Kevin Durant's got about 4 or 3 championships in the future, no one's going to sit there and say, hey, but he got those championships when he went to go join a stacked Golden State team. They're going to just see the championships and the finals MVPs and say, hey, he was a great player, man. This guy was, a winner. He was the best player on 4 different championship teams. This team was a dynasty, all this and that. No one's going to talk about the fact that he left OKC, which was a team that blew a 3-1 lead against Golden State, the team that he did join to get those championships. No one's going to care about that. Look at Earl Monroe. I don't know if you guys know this, but Earl Monroe was a player that played for the Baltimore Bullets, and then he eventually decided to leave the team, and then, he demanded a trade to a selective few teams. And, one of the teams were his hometown, and one of the teams were the New York Knicks. Now, for those who don't know, the New York Knicks were rivals with the Baltimore Bullets. They were rivals, but in Earl Monroe's mind, he wanted to win championships. He wanted to get the chip. So besides his hometown, he wanted to go get chipped up with the enemy. And this isn't a free agency signing like Kevin Durant. This was a trade, and he said that he wasn't going to play unless they traded him. So they had no choice. So you guys get what I'm saying here? Loyalty can only get you so far. Even a player back then like Earl Monroe, and he played in the 70s and the 80s. He even played in 1967 at one point in his career. So you guys get it. And no one ever wants to talk about it. You want to know why? Because he's a champion. He won his first championship in 1973 with the New York Knicks. No one cares about how you did what you did until you do it, and then time fades it away. Time will fade away the fact that Kevin Durant went to a stacked Golden State team. Only 1 or 2 people will mention it, just like no one is even talking about the fact that LeBron James went to go join Miami, because guess what? He won championships. No one cares about how you win championships. They just care that you do. Now, look at LeBron James in 2011. When LeBron James lost to the Mavericks, everybody was on his ass. You want to know why? Because he lost. Just after, he said, we'll not just win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You remember that speech, right? But then he ended up scoring just as many points as he thought they were going to win championships, in 8 points. Obviously, if you don't get the job done, that's a different situation, because I know some people are going to say that in the comment section. But in 2013, when he obliterated the Oklahoma City Thunder, no one was talking about that then, because he got the job done. No one remembers how you got the job done. They just remember that you do. So in conclusion, this is your boy Young Mustard signing out. Y'all let me know in the comment section what you think about this. The real reason I wanted to make this video was because I was looking over some of these contracts in the NBA, and apparently the Wizards offered John Wall this large extension, this max extension, to stay with them, and he hasn't said yes or no. He's probably thinking in his head, should he test free agency and all this and that, but he has 2 more years left in his contract, the year that's coming up and the year after that. And either he's going to get traded in that last year, or John Wall's just going to have to wait it out, and then, he can either decide to be loyal to the Wizards, or he can leave and form some massive super team like Kevin Durant did. So you guys get the point here. Either he can be loyal, or he can go get shipped up. And based on this video, John Wall, do not, I repeat, do not, unless the Wizards, find you some talent to build around you, do not be loyal, because at the end of the day, loyalty can only get you so far. This is your boy Young Mustard signing out. Have a great day. Peace. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and add me on Snapchat. I'm out.
Wrist so icy, wonder why she like me, bitch. I'm drowning in water. I just bought a Cuban